All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. Today is Giving Tuesday, December 1st. We wanted to take the time to talk about some of the great organizations we partner with, but also talk about other ways that you can give back to kick off a month of giving with RRT. First off, my name is Brian Wolf. I'm part owner of Roads, Rivers, and Trails. If you go to our website, roadsriversandtrails.com, you'll find a page dedicated to our community partners. If you don't already have an organization that you're passionate about or give to, or maybe you're doing well this year and you'd like to give a little bit more, visit our community partners page and check out some of the great non-for-profit organizations that help make our community better. We've all been affected by the pandemic, and that includes the organizations that give us free space outside, protected rivers and trails, organizations that bring people together to share, educate, and inspire. So go ahead and explore that page, find an organization that has changed your life, be it direct or indirectly, and help them out in this time of need. Typically, these organizations have galas and fundraising dinners, in-person auctions and events, and of course, all the sponsorship from those events. So they're operating without any of that income this year. So we need these organizations around, and we're going to desperately need their programming to continue when we're out on the other side of the pandemic as well. So this week, and for our very first live event like this, I want to kick things off with a slightly different ask, your less traditional give. I want to give you a little time or a little energy to pass along to a friend or family member that you maybe haven't reached out to in a while. One of the, or perhaps the largest challenge facing us today is a mental health crisis. Family and friends are separated, support groups unable to come together, and we face challenges that have been unprecedented. And I want to say that I'm not an expert, and there'll be no expert advice from us here today. What you can do, though, is reach out, engage with someone you lost touch with, invite them to go on a hike, invite them to go on a paddle. A walk in the woods creates bonds, but also helps cast light. So any of that could just be big. We probably all know someone who has dealt with depression. I know that I've dealt with it and watched both family and friends go through the struggles. So joining me today, we have two special guests, Matt Noonan with Eyes Opened Outdoors, and Joe Solomon with Kayaking for a Cause. So guys, thank you both for joining me.
Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah, and thank you for each of your initiatives. And I guess that's where I want to start. First, could you each of you talk about your initiatives and larger goals with your outdoor pursuits? Joe, we could start with you.
Yeah, so I'm Joe Solomon. I am the owner and operator of Kayaking for a Cause, with a number 4 instead of spelling out 4. Basically, what I do is mental health awareness paddles, long distance mental health awareness paddles. Last year, 2019, I kayaked from Pittsburgh all the way to the Mississippi River, total of 981 miles along the Ohio River. All while doing that, I was raising awareness around mental health, be it with folks that I would talk to along the river. There was heavy media coverage over what I was doing, and so I was on the news quite a bit along my journey, and I was able to raise quite a bit of awareness. So yeah, that's about what I do.
Awesome. Joe, thank you. Matt, how about yourself? Talk about your initiative, larger goals with your outdoor pursuits, what you're doing.
Well, hey, my name is Matt Noonan. I am the operator of Eyes Opened Outdoors. I just opened this. This is a new chapter in my life. I recently went out to the gorge, and I was going through a spat of depression since 2017. That was pretty significant, kind of dark, deep. And when I went out to the gorge, I felt like that really like opened up a light for me. And at that moment, I decided that I wanted to hike the Appalachian Trail. So that's kind of my goal, is to hike the Appalachian Trail right now, and to potentially go further than that. And So my drive is to, by doing that, kind of spread a awareness of mental health and of suicide prevention, and to just hang on. You know, when you're on the trail, it's one foot in front of the other. That's all you do, right? That's all you do. You just walk. Well, when you do that, you have forward moving progress. And to the people that are, you know, struggling, that's kind of the message I want to send. Just keep pushing, keep moving forward, one foot in front of the other. And what better way to do it than to be outdoors? The outdoors has a song, and it's really just based off how willing are you to listen to it. So that's my main goal in doing this, is just spreading the love, mental health awareness, suicide prevention, through all walks of life, LEOs, civilians, military service personnel, and just everybody I can. Anybody I can get the word out to, that's my goal.
Matt, that's awesome. And you said, you know, one step at a time, you always say, and it's only about 5 million of those for the Appalachian Trail. So it's a hardy goal, and it's pretty awesome. I will keep it with you, but what I think is so amazing about each of you is your willingness to put yourself out there in an effort to reach others. You know, it's not something that's easy to do, and some people could struggle with. So, Beck, can you tell me what drives you to do that?
So, like I said, in 2017, I had a real bad spout with depression, and I actually have a picture of somebody that means a lot to me that ended up taking their life. They took their life, you know, by suicide, and it's this person right here. So this is Chris Renaud. This was my brother, not by blood, but 20 years of friendship and love, and just everything we could do together, we would. He was just there. And so when he took his life, it really affected me in a bad way. You know, it hurt me a lot because he did it by his own hand. And I that's kind of, it's kind of what put me there. You know, from that happening, that just put me in a dark place. There's a thing that, if anybody's ever dealt with something like this, it's kind of well known. It's called survivor's guilt. And I held on to survivor's guilt for a lot of years, and it destroyed me. It destroyed me. And again, finding my way outside instead of locking myself in, you know, quote unquote, the dungeon, your house, disassociating, pulling yourself away. By getting yourself outside, it lets you breathe again. And that's my main reason right there for why I want to do what I'm doing. It's for Chris. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Matt. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, yeah. Joe, what would you say drives you to kind of spread this message?
Well, I forgot to mention before, I talked about kayaking the entire Ohio River. Next year, I plan on doing another awareness paddle, which is the entire Mississippi River, from source to sea. To answer your question, though, back in 2012, I fell ill and was hospitalized. And during my hospitalization, they made a cocktail of medications that wiped out my short-term memory. So the best way I was able to recover myself was to kayak. So I kayaked every single day for 4 months straight at Green Acres Canoe, to recover myself. And while doing that, I'm thinking, well, shoot, if I can do 8 miles a day like this, maybe I can do a whole river system. And that led me to kayaking the entire Ohio. Now, I did this to raise awareness and to give back to the community. There were a lot of people that surrounded me with love and compassion and empathy. And by doing that, they enabled me to recover and live a normal life. Now, back to nature. Nature has all kinds of healing properties to it. And that's how I was able to recover myself was through kayaking. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, I might as well, make a cause out of it. And so I put the mental health awareness paddle behind it. And that blew up, man. I had no clue that I was going to get the amount of attention that I got on the Ohio. And I sure hope that the same thing happens on the Mississippi, which I have a feeling it will. Um, and so that's what drives me to do what I do. It's easy for me to paddle. It's easy for me to come out and say, yes, I have a mental health condition. It wasn't easy in the past. I used to deny it, and I used to, I was shamed by having some type of mental health illness. When I got sick back in 2012, I went into a catatonic state. It's something that not many people experience. It only happens to about 0.02% of the world population. At that time, I didn't know what was going on. I was in a slump, basically a coma, where you can hear everything, but you can't react to anything. And so that will really knock you on your butt. And to get up from that is where I started kayaking. And I got a season pass to Green Acres, and I kayaked every day for 4 months straight. And 5 years later, I'm kayaking the entire Ohio River every day for 30 to 40 miles a day for 2 months straight. So, what drives me is to help people to realize that if they have a mental health condition, that they're not alone, and if they want to seek that help, they should go for it. Um, and if they want to go out in the nature, contact me and I'll take you.
I can't tell you yet just how great it is and just how special it is. I think you're both amazing people with amazing stories, and just how special it is that you're willing to share that. And I think it needs to be heard and it needs to be talked about. So I really appreciate you guys both doing that.
Yeah, not a
I know
problem.
that takes a lot. So so let's talk about the adventure side of it though for a second. Why don't you guys tell me a little bit about, more specifically about the trips you're planning? So Joe, you're planning to paddle the entire Mississippi. So for somebody doesn't have a map hanging on their wall, maybe that's listening or something, why don't you explain exactly what that means? How long of a trip that is, how long that's going to take you, things like that.
Well, the Ohio took me somewhere around a month and a half, 2 months to complete. I'm almost tripling on mileage down the Mississippi. I'll start at Lake, I guess it's pronounced Itasca in Minnesota. At the bottom of the lake, there's a small stream, which is the start of the Mississippi River. I'll be meandering through that stream for a good 4 or 5 days in an old kayak, something that, I don't mind if I beat it up a little bit. And I'll have somebody following me just for that first 4 or 5 days. Once I get through those streams, I get to a river with a current, which currents are lovely. I didn't have one on the Ohio, but I'll have one on the Mississippi, and they help carry you downstream. I will then at that point switch to a bigger kayak, a kayak that's been sponsored by Current Designs, and I'll paddle the rest of the way. The Mississippi River is about 2,350. It depends on where you look. They got different mileage for all of it. Somewhere around 2,350 miles. I will be paddling every day for about 10 to 12 hours a day. Hopefully I get some good miles in, and once I hit, some flowing water. I plan on taking about 4 months for this entire trip, excuse me, because if it took me 2 months to go 987 miles, then it's going to take me longer than that to do the entire Mississippi. I'll be starting somewhere around June 1st and ending by September, October, something like that. And also, I'm going to take my time on this one. The Ohio, I paddle, 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 rush, rush, rush. I'm not rushing the Mississippi. I want to give more time to River Angels than just one night. of me landing at their house super exhausted to eat their food and go to bed and dipping out early the next morning. I'm not trying to do that this time. I'd like to give them more of my time. So I really don't have a timetable as to how long it's going to take me, but I think somewhere around 4 months.
That's amazing. And you were explaining to me just the other day how in the very beginning you're gonna have to take like a saw to maybe even get rid of some obstructions along the way so that you can make your way down the river. It starts off pretty gnarly, yeah?
Yeah, it's a small stream, real shallow. There are a lot of fallen trees over the stream that you can either portage around, or you can cut through them and make your way through. Like you said, I will be carrying a saw with me for the first couple of days so I can saw through some trees and get on my way.
That is that's pretty wild. That's a big journey. And you also mentioned river angels, which is I think really cool because it's a common denominator between both of your journeys, river angels and trail angels. Um, and so maybe have each of you kind of Joe, if you want to go first, and then we'll segue over to Matt and talk about kind of the support that you find out on the river.
Yeah, my Ohio River trip was pretty interesting. I got contacted almost daily by folks that saw me on the news that lived on the river at a certain river mileage, and they'd say, "Hey, stop by. I got a hot meal, a warm shower, a bed for you to sleep in, and good company." And I met a lot of people along the Ohio River that helped push me forward down the river because there were times where I just kind of wanted to cash it in, wondering what the heck I'm doing to myself. And uh, but those folks that were supporting me, be it on Facebook, on the news, on newspapers, radio stations, that's what drove me to continue going forward. And I had told myself in the beginning of my journey that I'm not going to quit on a bad day. Well, every day was a bad day, so I had no opportunity to quit while I was on the river.
That's a good tip. So going over to Matt and his trip on the Appalachian Trail and Trail Angels just kind of being that perfect segue and kind of even with what we're talking about just with mental health awareness as well is that we do have those angels out there, right? Is what we call them on the trail, what Joe called them on the river, and you have these people going out of their way for someone they don't know. And it's a perfect example of the number of people that are really there for you and always looking out for you that you don't even know they're there until you come upon them. And I had the same experiences on the Appalachian Trail of people being just over and beyond generous without having met me before. And so I think it's very cool and it gives you a lot of hope, and it's the best of our world when you kind of get out there on an adventure like that. Matt, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit more about your journey, about the Appalachian Trail, and what that's going to be like for you.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you this. For those who don't know about the Appalachian Trail, it's 2,190 miles. It starts in northern Georgia, Springer Mountain, Georgia, and it goes through 14 states all the way up to Mount Katahdin in Maine. I wouldn't even call myself a novice hiker. I I hiked for fun, like, and very minimal hiking. I grew up in Florida, and anybody who's been to Florida, specifically southern Florida and the Everglades, knows that there ain't nothing but water, grass, and flat land. So that's it's going to be a challenge and a journey all in one. But so also, I'm going to give you the exclusive here, my YouTube channel or my Facebook channel. Nobody actually knows when I'm leaving, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you that now. So I plan my trip to start roughly between March 5th and March 15th of 2022. And that should roughly take, depending, with all the forums that I've read and just the different people and the experiences they've had, anywhere from 5 to 7 months. And that's a jump, and that's not something I've ever done. I've spent some time out in the woods. I've done camping trips, but I've done the bring a cooler, you got the beer, you got the s'mores, it's not carry everything I need to live in my backpack for months on end. So just for those who don't really know about the Appalachian Trail, that's a little bit about it. And yeah, I'm super excited. And I really don't even know what to say.
No,
I
that's good.
I haven't experienced trail angels because I haven't been out there yet, but I do know trail magic's a thing, and I know it's a wonderful thing. And it could be, again, this is just me seeing other people's experiences, but something as simple as a can of Coke, a warm can of Coke at the end of a trailhead that's sitting on top of a stand, you know, man, that going out of your way for somebody you don't know, that's spreading the love. And Joe mentioned never quit on a bad day. Joe, I have that exact same mentality, brother. That is 100% where I'm at. If you ever want to quit, and that goes with mental health awareness too, don't quit on a bad day. If you really want to quit, quit on a good day when the sun is shining and the weather's beautiful and you don't have sweat dripping in your eyes and you don't have mosquitoes eating you alive. That's not the day. That's not the day to quit when that stuff's happening. Push forward, one foot in front of the other. And I am so excited to get to meet the people that I'm going to meet on my journey for that reason right there. Shining the light, shining the light. And I also kind of branching off a little bit here for a second. I've kind of like built a story, I guess, for myself that depression is like a dark room that you know nothing about. You were blindfolded when you were put in. And when you take that tea tree light, you know, the little tea tree lights that warm candle warmers, doing something positive, something that pushes you to stay positive, you know, the appreciation. So something I do is I try to think of things that I'm thankful for every day, whether it's crushed red peppers that I can put on my pizza because I like it spicy, or that I have the ability to go to my faucet and get clean tap water. Little stuff like that. It's lighting a tea tree light that is just brightening up the room, you know. And I'm sorry for getting off track, but that's just like, that's the kind of passion I have about it, like the mental health side of it and the trail angels. Like, what an amazing group of people, and I'm just so excited to get to actually meet some of these people. So
Heck yeah. And that's actually, I mean, perfect segue into the next question anyway, Matt. I was just about to ask, you know, what, you know, bit of advice, or what would you say to somebody that might help somebody that's struggling right now? Words of encouragement or anything like that. Joe, I don't know if you want to jump on board to what Matt was saying or anything else that you'd say to him.
Words of encouragement. I didn't quite. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, a little lag. Yeah, words of encouragement. Somebody that's struggling out there. I know you kind of already said it. You know, as far as not quitting on a bad day. But if there's anything else you wanted to add, kind of what Matt was saying.
Yeah, just know that you're not alone. There are people out there that can help you with this. You have to seek that help, though. It doesn't just come to you, and you have to work really hard. In the mental health field, they try different medications to mask our ailments, and it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. You know, you could be bipolar and go into your psychiatrist, and they may have to try a couple different meds before they get a hold of your bipolar disorder. But once they do, man, life changes. It's a lot better when you got the right medications behind it. Not everybody's into medications either, but for me, if I didn't have them, I wouldn't be here. And that's the truth. I almost died in a catatonic state. And so basically, I've always been compliant with my medications, because if you're not, then you don't really live a good quality of life. And now that I look back on my life 15, 20 years ago, I wasn't, you know, half as somewhat stable as I am now. Now I have different things to deal with, because being in a catatonic state can cause all kinds of other slew of problems for you. But yeah, the don't give up on a oh no. There goes my computer. Don't give up on a bad day. Sorry about that. And yeah, if you need help, seek it.
Absolutely.
And reach out to those that you don't know if they're suffering or not, because you could reach out to the right person tomorrow and save them from committing suicide because you actually reached out to them. So if you know somebody that's silently suffering right now, because it is very silent, it's not a loud thing. If you notice somebody is silently suffering, reach out to them, because they may need that love that you have to give to them in their life right now.
Right. Yeah, and then if you guys missed the beginning,
No.
that's how we started. Today's Giving Tuesday, and it's just a different approach to that, right? We're not asking you to open your pocketbook necessarily, but reach out to, yeah, well, we might be to that too, but reach out to somebody. That's the
Yeah.
ask. Give a little bit of compassion today. Reach out to somebody this week, this month. With everything going on, you never know if it's somebody that really needs that hand right now. So. More important now than ever, maybe. One of the last questions I have for you guys is if you could talk about how, a lot of people explored the outdoors this year, some of them for the first time or first time in a long time. And I'm hoping that those connections stick because I truly feel like it's a powerful place to be. You guys talk about how has the outdoors helped you become a more confident or purpose-driven individual? Has it helped kind of push you to these goals? Matt, we'll go ahead and pitch it to you first.
Sure. 100%. There's no doubt in my mind. if you end up following me on YouTube, you'll get to see a little bit more about my story. But 100%, man. Outdoors. Again, it's a song. It's a beautiful melody. And how willing are you to listen to that? The sounds of nature, the water flowing, especially for Joe, man, I could imagine just listening to that flowing water all the time and the water going across the kayak, how serene and peaceful that would be. The outdoors it's the dictionary, it's the encyclopedia, it's the instruction manual for life. It was here before we were here, and it'll be here after we're gone. And there's a reason for it, because nature knows how to live. We're living in it. We're a part of it. We are not it. So just being outdoors it's the holy grail. It's the breath of life. And it can take you from a very dark place into such a lit up room. You can see perfect. Your clarity, the sense of peace I felt when I was standing out. Man, I can't remember it right now, but there was a mountain. I say mountain, it's the Red River Gorge. It wasn't really a mountain, it was the gorge. But I was standing over a cliff, and that just sense of happiness, that peace that just flows over you like a hot shower after a cold day working outside all day. Just that warmth of just being a part of it, almost feeling like that nature's breathing around you and you're part of it. Just if you get the opportunity to go outside, do it. Absolutely do it. Your life is like a video game and you're the one holding the controller. You have the ability to make the right things happen for you, but it's taking that step. It's picking it up. It's going outside. Don't lock yourself in your room. Don't disassociate from people. 9 times out of 10, when people do that, it's because they want to be with people. They want to interact. They want to feel love, but they don't know how to portray that. With depression is a liar. 100% a liar. Do not listen to your depression. You are worth it. 150%. You are supposed to be here, whether you think you are or not. You are. You have a place, just like every leaf on a tree has a place. You're supposed to be here. And going out into nature, that gives you that life. that breath, that fresh water on a hot day. Nature, absolutely, 100%.
That's awesome. I think that's beautiful, and I think you actually like nailed it too, and just kind of getting out and not stopping. And we were hitting a time. Obviously, we had our first snow here today, and it's getting colder. But don't think that that means your time in the outdoors has to stop. So Joe just got his cold weather paddling gear, right? And he's got to keep going. He's got to keep getting out. It might take some different stuff or a little bit more dedication to get out when it's cold outside, but I think that outdoor time is just as important.
Critical.
And to keep that up. And Joe, you kind of already hit on some of this. I mean, you immediately jumped straight into the paddling, as kind of, just a mode of recovery, right? So the outdoors played a pretty big part, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
Yeah, Mother Nature is a pretty wild situation. She can give to you and she can crash down on you. And living on the river for 2 months, I gained a whole new respect for Mother Nature. But she gave so much to me while I was on the river. I can't explain to anybody really how much it meant to me and how it really it was a definitely a good thing for me to do to help recover myself. And you know, like Matt said, opt outside, go outside. If you're having a bad day, go to a park somewhere and hike around a trail or go fishing or whatever you can do to get outside. One thing that I've noticed with the paddling rivers is all animals come to a source of water because they got to drink. When you go down a river for 8 or 9 miles kayaking, you're going to see all kinds of wildlife along that river. Um, Brian, you guys are located up there on the Little Miami, basically, and that's a river that I've used so many times to both train for doing the Ohio River as well as get that recovery that I needed. And if anybody ever wants to kayak down a Little Miami, just hit me up. I'll take you and I'll point all the little animals out to you. Sometimes you have to be looking for it. You can't just paddle along with your stereo beating sounds all out loud in nature. Turn off the radio and listen to what's going on around you.
Yep, be present in the moment, right?
Yep.
Well, Joe and Matt, I really can't thank you enough for joining me today. Obviously, wish you the best of luck in your journeys, but I know that I'm going to be following along, and so we're going to talk many more times before those come up. If you tuned in, be sure to follow these guys. So why don't you guys both go ahead and let them know, Matt, if you want to go ahead and go first, how do people follow you? How are people going to follow your progress getting ready for the trail and on the trail?
So, like I mentioned earlier, this is a very new process for me, but I do have a YouTube channel and a Facebook channel, and both are Eyes Opened Outdoors. And yeah, please like, share, subscribe, get me out there, get the word out there. And yeah, so it's Facebook and YouTube is where I'm at right now.
Awesome. Joe, how do we find you or follow you?
Matt, we got to meet up soon because I got a lot of stuff I can help you out with, all that good stuff. You can find me and Kayaking for a Cause at Kayaking with the number 4 a cause, and that's on Facebook and Instagram. I don't have a Twitter account or a YouTube account, or I'll be working on the YouTube thing because I'm gonna be filming a whole lot of what I'm going through while on the Mississippi next year.
That's awesome. I feel like you guys hit different categories and could help each other out. This is going to be good. Another thing, if you guys are watching on Facebook and dropping comments in there, or feel free to drop comments in there, we can kind of follow back up afterward. And if you have questions or want to reach out, obviously you can hit them up on their pages and send them a message too. These guys are here for you. And so, like I said, you have a question, or whether it's trail-based or or anything more personal or whatnot, they've put themselves out there for you. So I really do appreciate that, and be sure to drop a comment in there or send them a private message. But thank you again, everyone, for tuning in, and Matt and Joe for joining us. If you're new to RRT, check us out, roadsriversandtrails.com, or better yet, come visit us. Come visit our store for any of your outdoor equipment, clothing needs. We're there for you, 118 Main Street in downtown Milford, Ohio. But I think that wraps it up, guys. I appreciate it, and great job.
Yeah, thank you, Brian, so much.
Thanks, Brian.
I really appreciate you guys and what you've done for us, and let's keep the positive flows going,
Cool. Appreciate it, everybody. We'll talk soon.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, support local business. Go to Brian's store and support him. This guy knows what's up. He's got all your outdoor needs.
I don't pay them.
Not at all. That's love. That's straight love. Support local business.
All right. Peace out, everybody.
See you, man.
All right,
Thank you.